Anytime you're entering the fog as a survivor, it's a good idea to bring perks to help yourself escape, but also your teammates. Your rate of survival goes up much more when you work together, rather than working alone. In today's video, I'll be highlighting 3 specific perks. These perks were brought to the game to help bring survivor gamers an increased sense of hope of reaching the threshold line of escaping and avoiding those relentless killers in the process. This survivor practices in the mystic arts and is a fanatic of horror. She found a passion in writing dark stories inspired by the macabre and her anxiety-filled nightmares. An open mic participant at the Moonstone coffee shop where she performs her dark and twisted stories. The Boone specialist Michaela Reed. She was featured in The Hour of the Witch, chapter 21.5. When she debuted in the fog of Dead by Daylight, she brought with her 3 altruistic perks: Clairvoyance, Circle of Healing, and Shadow Step. This was the first time in the history of the game that boon perks were introduced. First up, Clairvoyance. Whenever you cleanse or bless a totem, Clairvoyance activates. You need to have no item in your hand and hold the ability button to unlock your full aura reading potential. You'll be able to see auras of the exit gate switches, generators, hooks, chests, and once the hatch spawns, its aura will be able to be seen within 64 meters. At tier 3, you'll be able to use Clairvoyance for 10 seconds. Next up, Circle of Healing. In its original existence, this perk quickly became the favorite of many survivor players, and at the time, I don't recall a perk more popular for the survivor community. To activate it, find a doll or hex totem, bless it, and you would be greeted with a soft chime and a blue radius of 24 meters. Circle of Healing would unlock the ability of healing yourself, but at a reduced speed of 50%. But with a med kit, you could heal yourself at 100% speed. It also allowed all survivors to benefit from altruistic healing speed actions that would increase by 5% each time from tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 3, starting out at 90% and ending at 100% when not using a med kit. Now, when this perk came out, it was a perk that was, well, let's just say one that would even the playing field with some of the OP perks that killers had in their repertoire. It allowed survivors to heal extremely quick. So much so that if you were in the radius of Circle of Healing and you stabbed yourself with an anti-hemorrhagic syringe, you could literally heal yourself in seconds. As more time went on, the opinion was formed that Circle of Healing was too overpowering. So in patch 5.5.0, the developers decided to bring the healing speed percentages down tremendously. Tier 1 was now starting at 65%, Tier 2 at 70%, and Tier 3 at 75%. But the narrative for Circle of Healing continued to stay the same, and when patch 5.7.0 came around, the developers had once again decided that the healing speed percentages were still too overpowered. So they decreased the healing speed percentages once more. This time, Tier 1 was reduced to 40%, Tier 2 was reduced to 45%, and Tier 3 was reduced to 50%. Skip forward almost a year later, and the developers still felt Circle of Healing was not at a place where they felt content. So in patch 6.7.0, they buffed the altruistic healing percentage beams back up. Tier 1 was boosted 10% to 50%, Tier 2 was bumped up 25% to 75%, and Tier 3 received another 25% boost and was now back at where it originally started at 100%. These changes were in play as long as medkits were not being used. Now the nerf? Survivors could no longer heal themselves within the boon's radius, but while they were in the radius, their aura would be shown to all other survivors in the hopes they would come and help heal them. And that's where Circle of Healing currently sits today. Now on to Michaela Reed's last perk, Shadow Step. Once a doll or hex totem has been blessed, Shadow Step becomes active. Once any survivor is in the 24-meter radius of the boon, their auras and scratch marks are hidden away from the killer. Shadow Step's effects linger with any survivor that's left the boon's radius for 4 additional seconds. This perk helps in so many ways, especially if more than one player in your team has it equipped. More of the map will be covered, and in turn, making it much harder for killers to hunt and track down their victims. Here's a couple examples. If you're doing a gen and the killer's terror radius is quickly approaching, you'll have a much easier time of getting away and not being tracked. The killer won't see your scratch marks and you'll be safe. And in case the killer has a perk like nowhere to hide, he won't see your aura either. So it offers a lot of protection that way. He'll be assured by his perk that nobody's around and they'll be on their way. Another good example of how this perk is beneficial is when a survivor's in chase, they can make good use of their environment by quickly getting to cover to hide themselves without worrying about leaving any scratch marks behind. If the survivor can break line of sight and create more distance, this may deter the killer, but aggressive killers will continue to spend more time than needed to hunt and chase their prey, thirsting for that kill. While smarter killers may search around for their target, they know when enough time has been spent and will most likely move on, thus ending the chase and freeing you from any harm. After her father had passed away, Michaela started drifting to the more dark and painful side of her life. Her dreams turned to horrific nightmares. Over and over, these heinous visuals would come to her while she was in the dream world. A dark figure attacking and leaving her in an eerie, cold, dungy basement. The only way she was awoken from this dreadful anxiety-filled nightmare was when she was thrown onto an iron hook that would pierce through her chest, causing her to wake up, gasping for air. The last thing Michaela had said before she vanished from this world was, "No darkness is truly beyond light." She knew trouble was looming around her and wanted to protect herself and those by her side. Her 3 teachable perks was her way of heeding off those dangers in a world she knew nothing about, with pure evil intentions lurking around every corner and submerged in the shadows, all controlled by a bloodthirsty, soul-sucking, no empathy or mercy-given almighty entity. The addition of Michaela Reed's boom perks and clairvoyance are very good team perks. They offer concealment, healing, and information benefits throughout each trial. Now, I know some people won't agree with that.
I don't.
Not for me.
I don't think so.
But I think that's just because they haven't really given Shadow Step and Clairvoyance a real chance. Now, I can see why Circle of Healing isn't used by the majority of the Survivor gamers, since its nerf of removing the effect of being able to heal themselves.
Really?
Yup. But Shadow Step, on the other hand, is a perk I've consistently used since it came out. I find its power of concealing auras and hiding scratch marks to be very strong. Wasting killers' time gives other survivors more time to complete objectives to help the team escape. Those last few seconds of completing a generator before the killer comes to stop you are so very important. Shadow Step helps give you that buffer. Now on to Clairvoyance. This perk I haven't used or really cared to use because I can do everything it does besides find the hatch quickly. But since I've been doing this video, I've had it on for every match, and the amount of times I've escaped through the hatch, I've been getting more escapes than I ever have since I've been playing this game. It's a great informational perk. It can be very beneficial for new or experienced players. Well, there you go. 3 must-have Dead by Daylight perks that will help your whole team escape. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you're new here, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe. We just hit 225 subscribers, and we're on the way to 250. And of course, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time here at Creepy Clips.